Well, the origin of the idea was originally Mike Bloomberg's when he was leaving the mayorship in New York. And the idea was to use what he learned as mayor with regard to using data to run a city, to being innovative, to creating best practices, to solving crime, to creating economic development, to begin to share that with other mayors around the world. So at that time, Bloomberg's people called me. We got the Atlantic involved, the Aspen Institute involved, and have now put on several of these. The first was in New York, the second was in Los Angeles, the third was in London, and the fourth is now in the great city of Miami, where I'm so proud to be at least a half-time resident. I spend the winters in Miami Beach. And it's really focusing on bringing mayors and city builders and urban leaders from around the world to learn these best ways to run cities. Cities are the places that drive our economic growth. And I think the focus this year is not exclusively, but it's really bringing together American mayors and some Canadian mayors with mayors from Latin and South America.
Now, one of the people going to be there, the CDC director. Obviously, here in South Florida, major concern is Zika.
Absolutely, and I think this is one. There's a great team that puts this on, but I really prompted this one. I've become very close friends with the mayor of Miami Beach, Philip Levine, and Philip and I talk about this all the time. And you think about this: what threatens South Florida and Miami and coastal cities is climate change and sea level rise, and all of those things are really important. Who would have thought that this little bug, a mosquito, carrying this virus, and it's not the only virus. Mosquitoes carry many viruses, but could put, a tourist area, Miami, greater South Florida, Miami Beach, in jeopardy. So I think it's going to be a great conversation with the CDC director. I think one of the things is that Miami and Miami Beach have shown how proactive they can be, and they've already knocked this thing out of Wynwood, and hopefully they'll knock it out of the beach and the rest of Miami as well. What it's done to Puerto Rico and other places, it's really paralyzed those economies. So I think that Florida could be a good example, and this conversation could be an example of how being proactive can really help save your city from suffering from one of these toxic viruses and toxic mosquito events.
And you are also mentioning climate change, not exactly just about Zika. It's also a global problem that many of these mayors, I'm assuming, will be talking about how to try to really get a grasp on it. UN Habitat is going on now, and it's bringing together people from all over the world. And just like CityLab will bring together mayors from all over the world. You think about it. We face these grand challenges as a world: climate change, sea level rise, rising temperatures, growing poverty, lack of economic opportunity in parts of the world, pollution, and I can go on. I could make a laundry list, but if you think about it, all of these problems are really problems of rapid urbanization and problems that are in our cities, even violence and crime and a lack of tolerance in places. So one of the things is that what we need to do is, the nation states have their role and presidents and prime ministers have their role, but the people who know how to solve this stuff are mayors. And these problems will only get solved in cities. The way I like to say it is urbanization, rapid urbanization is the grandest of all the grand challenges we face as a world. All the others, from climate change to economic opportunity and poverty, are nested within it. So really the mayors have the best perspective on how to solve these problems, and they need to get their perspective into the debate, with international organizations, national governments, and all the rest. So I think we, the folks who lead cities, have the perspective that the world needs to begin to solve all these vexing problems. And another topic, again, is immigration, very close to our hearts here in South Florida and in the state in general. Something kind of counterproductive to what Donald Trump is proposing, the building the bridges, not walls.
This is ridiculousness. Mayors and city leaders know that the key to economic success, the key to economic growth, and I've done the analysis, and others have done the analysis. If you want to look at what differentiates a growing city from a declining one, it's openness to immigration and openness to people from all over the world. I call it the 3 T's. To have a great city economy, you need to do all 3 T's. Technology, obviously, no-brainer. Talent, you need to have talented people, no-brainer. But you need to have tolerance. You need to be open to immigrants, open to the gay and lesbian community, open to people from all over the world, from both genders, all races, all ethnicities. So Donald Trump is completely off base with this, and any mayor would tell him the key that has made America great is its openness to immigrants. Not from Andrew Carnegie, who built our steel industry, to Andrew Grove, who built our semiconductor industry, to the 50% of founders of high-tech Silicon Valley companies who come from another country. Like South Florida's own Jeff Bezos, who went on to form Amazon. So we could go on and on about this, but immigration, as urban leaders, city leaders know, is really the key to economic growth. And obviously Donald Trump's not going to win, so we don't have to worry about that. But we need to remain steadfast, and mayors and political leaders, city leaders, need to remain steadfast to show these few national leaders that don't get it how important open borders and open immigration are to our future.
What do you think the actual goal is that will come out of the conference coming up early next week?
I don't think there's any one thing, one goal. I really think the objective of the conference is much subtler and, in a way, more important than that. It's to build a group of mayors who know one another. When you think about it, mayors don't get to travel very much. Their city budgets are tight, and when they do, people yell, "Junket." So to be able to bring together mayors from around the world, in this sense, the U.S., Canada, and Latin and South America, to have them build bonds, to learn from one another, to learn from other urban leaders is a big thing. I really think we need a World Congress of Mayors, and there are efforts in that direction. But this is one way to begin to build a cohort or a network or a group of mayors around the world who understand one another, talk to one another, and learn from the best of each other's efforts. No, it's just so spectacular. You think about this is the fourth city, right? And Miami is clearly a global city. So number 1, City Lab New York. Number 2, City Lab LA. Number 3, City Lab London. I call them the world's great superstar cities. Number 4, Miami. So I think it speaks to Miami's growing presence on a world stage and its growing presence as a global city. So I'm really excited. I was in town last week. I'm coming back to town Sunday. I'm really, really excited to not only be back in my second home, but to be really seeing Miami host this collection, sponsored by the Bloomberg Philanthropies, the Aspen Institute, the Atlantic, this collection, this gathering of mayors from around the world. It's going to be great.